Hey everybody, I'm gonna do this, which is pull in some tarot for the full moon that's happening in about 8 hours or so, maybe even less. It's about 7 o'clock here on the East Coast, and I'm just gonna pull from the Dragon Tarot and pull a card for each of the rising signs, just as a little what the hell. So I like the Dragon Tarot, especially for lunations, because of the myths associated with dragons and eclipses. But this isn't an eclipse that's happening tomorrow. It's the full moon, Gemini, with the sun in Sagittarius, 23 degrees. And so, yeah, we're just going to go through it. I'll put some posts up after with maybe some little write-ups about it. But, you know, these things are ephemeral, they're temporal, and so take what you want from it and leave the rest, as they say, or leave what you don't understand. So for Aries risings, I pulled the Queen of Cups. Here's this card here. So for Aries, the sun is in the ninth house, and the moon is in the third. The moon has her joy in the third, and so with Queens, you know, there's a sense of embodiment of whatever suit it is. And with the cups, it's water. So maybe this full moon is kind of calling you to be a little bit more embodied just in your own lunar practice. I like Queens as having some sort of a sense of authority and just kind of being the badass that you are, Aries rising. Maybe add a little bit of emotional intelligence to this full moon. So moving over to Taurus risings, for this full moon, the Four of Swords came up. So the Four of Swords is Libra. It's the last decan of Libra. And, you know, there's no placements in Libra 4 or Libra 3 right now, but there's a big sense of rest. And so with Taurus risings, you know, the moon is in the second house. The second house is an idle place, and it can be kind of slow to grow. With activity and Jupiter in the second house there, maybe there's been a bit of exhaustion, but I like the idea, to tell Taurus to rest anyway. And the Four of Swords, if you just imagine that, the image in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is kind of a soldier or a knight that is resting in his own grave. So don't wait to sleep till when you're dead. Go ahead and use this full moon as a restful full moon. So for Gemini risings, for this Gemini moon, is happening tomorrow. The Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is the first decan of Scorpio, and isn't necessarily the easiest on paper, but there's a sense or maybe an invitation to honor what has been lost in order to really value what is still there. And, with the illumination in your first house for Gemini risings, maybe you as the character in your story are going to have a little bit more light or illumination. The Five of Cups can be kind of mournful. And with any sort of a process of growth and transcendence, there's often an element of kind of having to leave some things behind. So maybe there's going to be some growth and shedding of skin just for you as the main character, and losing some of your jewels to kind of go into the underworld, becoming your own little Inanna. Five of Cups, again, it's that emotional realm, that creative realm. So good luck, Gemini. So for Cancer, right on cue, the Cancer, get the Chariot. The Chariot in Tarot is Cancer. And so this, for Cancer risings, this full moon is happening in your 12th house, and that can be, that can just suck for having things that are out of your control, or feeling like things are happening to you. Maybe you don't have a lot of agency and knowing, your hands aren't on the reins necessarily. This can be anxieties, especially with Jupiter in retrograde there right now. The anxiety factor for Cancer risings seems to it seems like lately, especially with that Jupiter transit there, just to be extra difficult. And, the Chariot coming up for you for this, it's like hold on to what you can, knowing that your circumstances are always changing. With Cancer, I just think of like a little crab in the ocean, and the waves, the tides change twice a day, and the waves move that little crab around, and the crab has to really have that flexible yet tough exterior to navigate all of the changes that are happening to it. And so whatever you can do to feel like your own self might be your best defense within this kind of difficult and maybe alienating full moon. I would ride it out, Cancers. So for Leos, the sun, which is, the sun rules Leo. The luminaries here are definitely winking, having the Chariot come up for Cancer and the sun for Leo. I mean, this is just such a sweet card. Warmth and, illumination. For Leos, this moon is in the 11th house, the house of hopes and dreams, and, friends and higher networks and mentorship and stewardship to larger societies. Maybe some recognition will come within a larger friend group, or you'll see your own role. Maybe a lot of Leo lessons are just like you being able to witness your own brilliance and illumination. And while that can go into ironically dark shadows of Leo as the trope as being a little bit too egocentric, a lot of times that's something that Leos really do need to learn, is to kind of be able to shine your own brilliance. And having the sun in your fifth there, and the moon up there in 11th, good on you, Leo, to hopefully you'll be able to kind of show your own illumination and your own warmth and just your own self. Just like Cancer's best defense is to return to its own self, and Leo, maybe you're called to just really shine. The sun doesn't realize that it's a star. So maybe Leos, you'll need to realize that you're a star. So moving on, we are now to Virgo. Virgo for this full moon that's happening at 4 a.m. my time. I looked outside earlier and the moon was super brilliant and cloudy. It was like extra bright because the clouds were just reflecting all that light. So for Virgos, I pulled the Three of Swords. This is the second decan of Libra. Again, we only have the South Node in Libra, the first decan. So there's no placements here in the second decan, but it's ruled by Saturn. And, for Virgos, this moon is happening up there in the 10th. It's angular, it's loud. The sun's down there in the 4th. And while there's been a lot of fluctuation and shifting for the mutable signs, the Three of Swords can be like that secret third thing that comes in and just really starts to break up like a duel or a tension that it's kind of stuck in an eddy. The Two of Swords is sometimes called the little priestess, and the Three of Swords is like that third thing that comes in and really kind of helps shift the narrative. So while I'm sure there might be some exhaustion with mutable signs of like having the narrative shift so much, it's kind of your nature to help all of us navigate the changing of the light. And, the fact that this is, for Virgo risings, this is the card that came up was your second house. So maybe there is some sort of skill that you can come in and kind of activate that helps your career house, helps your home, helps your family. The 10th and the 4th house kind of exist because they are in relation to each other. So while having this full moon happen at the end of the year, the holiday season, maybe there's a good bit of pressure there. And so I just think the cards are saying like you have the skill, that it's really you that will be able to kind of shift that around, change that around. All right, so let's go to Libra itself. That's halfway through. We're halfway through the zodiac. And again, I'm just like reading cards that come up for each of the rising signs. for this full moon that's happening up in Gemini. If you can see the sky yourself, it's a quite beautiful full moon. So for Libras, we get the Magician. The Magician is the first card after the Fool in Tarot. It's Mercury. And so Mercury is hosting this moon. Mercury itself is retrograde in Sagittarius in Libra's third house. The moon is up there in the ninth. And I like ninth house for just magical work and magicianship. Looking from the top of the mountain and trying to glean some sort of a magical insight or new perspective. Having that moon up there, maybe being the circumstance or the energies around what are you studying. I mean, Libra, if you have a chance to kind of go outside of yourself, go outside of your neighborhood, maybe it's too late to grab a ticket overseas, or maybe you're already on your way overseas. I like that for just the thing about the magician has all of the elements on its own little magical table. And so, like my son plays Minecraft. And so when you have lots of raw materials for your workbench, you can make all sorts of new alchemical materials. And so for Libra to have the Magician card here and to have the moon up there in the ninth and the sun in the third, those are pretty esoteric and spiritually seeking houses. I don't think spiritual knowledge is limited to any one house, but they seem to be kind of heightened in the third and the ninth. The third was considered the house of the goddess, the ninth the house of God, and that's really just connection to the larger cycles and learning how to glean our the meaning of our existence within this realm. And so maybe Libras will be able to glean some insight from all the tools that are on their magician's table while the moon is up there in the ninth. Okay, so we are going to go to Scorpio rising. I pulled the King of Pentacles, the King of Coins. And for Scorpio rising, this lunation is happening in your 8th and your 2nd. And the 8th house particularly is kind of a hard one to read, just because it's occulted. It's out of the main site from the ascendant sign. But it's being hosted by Mercury down there in the 2nd house, and Mercury's retrograde. And so what is, if we think of pentacles and coins as like earthly possessions, earthly riches, and to have a court card, a king card of that coin, and maybe even just the thoughts of financial success and the plans for what financial means can be used for, like the retrogradeness of that Mercury in the 2nd house really does kind of look at the planning stage or the strategy. But the moon up there in the 8th, that is like really how you're kind of bound to other people. So the circumstances around this really aren't necessarily just about you. And, to be a good king is to know the true value of your own kingdom, and to not just embody good behavior and sharing the wealth, but recognizing the powers that got you there to begin with. And so now we'll look at Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius, you've got the sun in the 1st house and you have the moon in the 7th. So again, this is angular. And for Sagittarius, we have the 2 of Pentacles, or the 2 of Coins. The 2 of Coins is Capricorn 1. And again, this is similar to the Scorpio rising and the Virgo rising. Having the card come up to be the 2nd house of that rising sign just does speak to finance. And, maybe the finances are kind of more tied into, the partnership here. But the tension of 2 of Coins, of having that Jupiter, Saturnine relationship, it's the new spring of ideas, and that tension of what could possibly be, and it's the hope springs eternal sort of decan. And so, you know, what is it about this full moon that is maybe shining some light on just your own participation and your own sense of self and relationships, but also with that Two of Coins there, to be, you know, what skill are you bringing to the table? And are you wanting to make some sort of a change? If you can't control the relationship side of it, you can control your piece. A lot of this seems to be, for all the signs so far, seem to be really like everybody has a little bit of agency. So how are you going to activate yours? All right, so for Capricorn rising, the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is Pisces 1, and that, you know, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, Pisces 1 is ruled by Saturn. The Eight of Cups is a card that can be a little wet blanket somber-y, but it's also a card of kind of going off and reconciling, you know, what is it that I need to do to make sure that the path that I'm on is correct. So the lunations are going to, and for Capricorn risings, are happening in the 6th and the 12th. So again, it's just like illumination of the darker houses. And so to have the card come to, for Capricorn 1 to be in the 3rd house for you in Pisces, it's like, you know, what sort of just personal daily ritual, what sort of personal kind of altar work can you do within your own immediate circle of either friends or, you know, close relationships, like neighborhood friends. Like the 3rd house is that junk drawer of all the kind of the shorter travel, the smaller circles. It can be kind of young children, but I like it just for daily lunar ritual work. The Saturnine card of having that Eight of Cups there. Again, cups are creative as well as emotional. Water is the element for cups. Water doesn't hold a shape on its own. It just holds whatever container you put it in. And so if there is discord with this full moon, look at the containers that you're choosing to put your creative flow into, or what sort of emotional is there emotional taxation that you're voluntarily participating in, and would some isolation and some hermitage do you good during this full moon, to kind of, again, write it out, kind of like the Cancer risings, like maybe write it out and just take care of yourself through this. Okay, almost there. We're going to go to Aquarius. Aquarius gets the Knight of Pentacles. So was it Scorpio got the King? Aquarius gets the Knight. So Knights of Pentacles, I was in the tarot class recently, and someone said when they pull the Knight of Pentacles, it can sometimes just show like them running around doing a bunch of errands. And the fact that this lunation is happening in the 11th and 5th axis. The moon is down there in Gemini in the 5th for Aquarius risings, and sun is up there in the 11th. It seems like maybe this full moon would be quite active. Maybe you'll do a lot of moving around, maybe go to a couple of parties, or just be incredibly busy. Like maybe this weekend is just going to be a little overwhelmingly busy for Aquarius risings. You've got Venus there and Pluto. We'll be talking about Pluto and Aquarius for the next 19 years, so I'm sure you're probably already sick of it. But I just imagine it to be a pretty social, lively, you yourself might be the busy one, and like the social butterfly, butterfly being the key word for Gemini there. All right, lastly, we have Pisces and the Strength card. The Strength is Leo in Tarot, but the image of a feminine figure taming a wild beast through compassion and understanding. Compassion is a great keyword for Pisces because it's that yin, water, Jupiterian sign. This lunation is happening in the 4th and the 10th, the 4th of Gemini being home, and the 10th of Sag kind of being the public space, the public sphere. And so an angular full moon for Virgo and Pisces rising, since this full moon is happening in the other mutable signs of Gemini and Sagittarius. you know, this might be loud, but it might be more loud at home. And to have the Strength card be coming up, it leans into the solar energy. So maybe maybe you'll just be called to practice compassion between the dynamic between the work and home life, leaning in more towards the work life, the sun, where the sun is. The Strength card is showing that. The Strength, the Leo house is the 6 for Pisces, and so again does speak to kind of work. Maybe the illumination of home will be grand, and the stressor will be in the public sphere. But having compassion for the people that you work with, or the people that work for you, or even just your pets. It might be that your dog gets out of the house on a full moon, and you really have to be that compassionate pet owner and reel your wildly beast inside. So overall, I'm just going to pull one card for this full moon for all of us. And I got the 3 of Wands, which is the middle decan of Aries, which is the solar decan, and the sun exalts in Aries. So may we all shine our own brilliance and kind of really tap into that benevolent wanting to collaborate and change things and shift things forward. We have a really beautiful new moon at the end of the month in December, and we'll kind of call in some more of that solar story. But for now, that's what I got for this full moon in Gemini. Thanks for anybody that watched, and we'll see you next time.